The following review contains scenes of hand feet. They're feet that can become hands. I can't take it anymore! Why, hello, YouTube! Greetings from LazyEyebrowReviewer to review number 75. And what a ceremonious number indeed. So, instead of doing something like, I don't know, a masterpiece figure, or something extravagant like a figure everyone's been waiting for, I decided, you know what? I'm done dancing around, following arbitrary rules I make up for myself, and sucking the fun out of my own hobby. I'm going to review what I want this time. No more waiting! Let's get down to business. Today's review is none other than 60% of Combiner Wars Wave 1 and 20% of Combiner Wars Wave 2. And the waiting I had to go through to get this guy was ridiculous. But here they are. The Deluxe Aerialbots. I'm trying something new here, because I gotta say, doing combiners is a ridiculous amount of work. Essentially, I'm filming 6 figures at once. So let's start off with the thieving alt mode stealer, Firefly, which, in my Google searches, also shares the name with a My Little Pony character. Can we go back to Firefly? We can? Awesome! Firefly is molded after a Harrier jump jet. You know, the kind that Slingshot used to be. Gripping aside, I think he looks bang on point. I love the landing gear this guy has, as well as the sleek shape the jet itself takes on. It's really a cool jet mode. That is, if you can forgive the fact that it's a plane on top of a robot. It's kind of weird what Masterpiece and third-party companies will do to you. When the Class K United Generation Seekers were a thing, I forgave the robot kibble because the jet looked good. I got into Masterpiece, and then soon after I found myself kind of hating it. And when I saw photos of this set, I laughed and said, what idiot is going to like these? Well, I bought them at Walmart because they were there, and I said, sure, I'll give them a real run through before I really rag on them. And I don't know what did it, but I started caring less and less about the obvious robot kibble, and just really fell in love with these jets, and Firefly gets to be the first example of this. He just really is a sleek, good-looking jet, despite the robots stowing away on board. I don't want to sound like a broken record, so I'll try to keep that point to a minimum from now on, but I figured here was as good a place as any to voice it. Up next is Skydive, the first one I customized. Originally, the wings had minimal amounts of black on them and 0 lightning effects. I wasn't cool with this, so I painted some bolts on him, and, well, he doesn't look bad. He's certainly not my favorite by any stretch. While I forgive the kibble on the other 3 figures, the wide shoulders on this robot just leave something to be desired in plain mode. I mean, they did an alright job trying to pass these off as intake vents, but I find they still clash with the actual jet with the red and everything. Not exactly my favorite, but still good, I guess. Up next is Alpha Bravo. Alpha Bravo is a helicopter. Well, I guess that's Ariel? Moving on, this guy is to replace Quickslinger, a figure of which Hasbro cares so little for that they gave his alt mode to Firefly and made us believe that he was the repaint. Jerks. Regardless, this helicopter is awesome, and easily one of the best alt modes that this team gave us. The thing is just slim and sleek from one end to the other. Heck, even the underside is mostly taken care of. Yeah, you can still see chest, but man, do the arms ever make up for that when flipped right side up. The fins, the missile pods, everything I feel just looks really, really good. As a side note, I swapped the shoulders with blades. I think blades should honestly have white shoulders anyway, and well, there's other reasons afoot here that I'll get into much later. And finally, the heavily modded figure, Air Raid, in the G1 continuity was an F-15 Eagle, much akin to the Seekers. I liked that. I love the F-15, it's one of my favorite jets. So when they made Air Raid a completely different plane with a super stubby, though variable wings, I clipped those off, and remolded those using parts from Air Raid and a knockoff Skywarp I found on eBay. Honestly, I love the effect this ends up having, as well as the paint job I did ended up matching the original plastic of the jet sheen, so honestly, although the stripes are just the teensy bit messy, I love how this turned out. It is just completely amazing. Otherwise, this is a retool of Skydive, but different in a ton of ways. The shoulders have an inward slope, making them blend into the plane way better, and I love how this ends up looking. Colors, though. White and red are a bit weird to see poking out on a black jet, but at the same time, I don't necessarily mind. So those are the 4 deluxe vehicle molds. Honestly, I'm surprised how quickly they grew on me. For size comparison, here's a Class K United Iteration Seeker, or Franken-Seeker because it's way easier to say, and this comparison really goes to show how small these figures have gotten over time. And yet, they're also bigger than that era from 2 years ago when everything was stupid small, which is probably why the cost went up. I don't know. I prefer the cost went up, to be honest. We're getting good figures again. Well, mostly. And it's not that much more expensive. Seriously, prices only went up like $4 for me, from $15 to $19. I know that all adds up, and it adds up to like, I think $20 more overall for a combiner. I think I paid $90 for Bruticus, and I paid $120 for this guy. Anyways, reveal the Shield Jazz, and Masterpiece Bumblebee, because everything scales well with MPB. On to weaponry. Air Raid and Skydive have identical, though colored differently, weapons. A missile pod, Coxsackie Virus A16, which can plug into the wings. Not on Air Raid though, those 5mm wing holes are gone now. And it looks stupid, as predicted. And those double-bladed blasters that can also plug into the tops of the jets. And they look stupid, as predicted. Alternatively, you can plug them into Air Raid's arms for extra guns. I think I would like this more if they were the same color. Does anybody want to trade? I really want 2 white ones, and I could send you the black one if you want 2 black ones. And any takers? No? Yeah, I didn't think so. Alpha Bravo comes with a Gatling-type Coxsackie Virus A16 and a Gatling-type rifle. There's 5mm holes on the side of the helicopter for the rifle to plug into, and my goodness, if that doesn't ever look amazing. I almost want 2 of these now because they look really, really good. And I'm the kind of person that hates weaponry just randomly attached to my airplanes and helicopters and, well, even the cars. But this looks really, really good. However, a port on the bottom also allows Coxsackie Virus A16 to peg into the bottom. This looks kind of silly, but that being said, I wonder why any third-party company hasn't tried to make landing struts for the helicopter. Personally, I think that would make perfect sense for the Vortex figure that was just released. Anybody with me? Firefly gets a weird grenade launcher type Coxsackie Virus A16 and a rifle with a scope. These can either peg into the wings or the rifle can peg into the robot hand. And I actually kind of like the rifle there. It's compact and not out a million miles looking dumb. Kind of neat, actually. Coxsackie Virus A16, though, can take off. That thing looks dumb hanging off the wing. Transformation is literally the same for all 4, so here we go. Alpha Bravo gets the little toes flipped up, then all of them get their head cover flipped up, wings up, tail fins up, separate arms, open the back of the legs, unfold thighs, close up legs, rotate Alpha Bravo torso, swing up Skydive shoulders, and then spin around the heads. And here we have the Aerialbots in robot mode. Gotta say, they are quite the nifty little team. They all have this white or gray and red scheme going on, despite the different colors of their jet modes, and I totally love that. Air Raid still maintains all his robot functionality despite the modifications I've made, which is cool. I still love the sloping nature of the shoulders to give it more of a slim look in the upper chest area. The head is amazing looking. I love the combiner port chest. Probably the smartest idea Hasbro has had ever when it comes to combiners. What wasn't smart though was painting the entire chest piece as opposed to casting it in red, because as you can see here, it's already starting to chip away. Nice. Moving on to the shins. The shins, although being a repaint of Skydive's, look great thanks to the paint scheme going on. The wings though, they don't fold up neat and tucked away like they used to, and well, I wasn't able to make the underside look as great as the tops of the wings. But I don't actually mind. And if you don't like the look, well, that's fine. I do. And I also think it matches Skydive more closely in combined mode, too. Speaking of that guy, though, Skydive just doesn't jive with me for whatever reason. He looks kind of plain and, well, boring. There's just something about the way the red and black dance off each other that really doesn't do for me. And this isn't even an issue with the Unite Warriors one. That actually looks kind of good. Especially in the legs, though. Goodness, are they ever bland on the US release. It's not a bad figure by any means. It just feels underwhelming, I guess. Especially compared to Air Raid. I love this figure way more. Those 2 out of the way, though. On to Firefly. Firefly, while I love him in plain mode, he comes to be an alright robot mode. better than Skydive, but no air raid for me, that's for sure. The head sculpt is modeled after the G1 Toya, the character, rather than the G1 cartoon character, and I'm not sure what I would have rathered in this instant. It's a great head regardless, and I do totally love it. I just don't know if I would have rathered a mouth over a faceplate or not. The blue, silver, and red, though, bounce off each other nicely. I gotta admit that, though. And the legs, while simple, look really good in my opinion. He's just not really a figure I'm super excited about. He's great, but not amazing. It might have a little bit to do with how much of the wings are actually wings and not bits of plane. I don't even understand this choice because Takara's version has a large chunk of body painted up like a wing to boot. It could have been done for sure, and it would have looked way slimmer and probably better, and definitely would have bumped this character up for me. Man, these guys look good together. Really makes me wish my Quickslinger was actually a Quickslinger and not just a custom. Because those nose coats look really good together. This can only mean we have one left. The Black Sheep, Alpha Bravo. Alpha Bravo is one amazing figure, and I mean that through and through. Just, why now? Why did you have to come now? I want to like this figure, and to be honest, I do love this figure. It just doesn't suit the team. Like, honestly, what are they supposed to do in this instance? Autobots, there's trouble. Aerialbots, fly down as quick as you can and stop Menasor before he ruins New York. And Jetfire, give Alpha Bravo a ride. There's no way he can keep up with the other 4 supersonic jets on his own. Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Replacing 4 jets, all of which can surpass the speed of sound, with a helicopter. They can't even do the third of the speed. Regardless, the figure itself, just as a standalone figure, is amazing, and probably one of my favorite molds for the Combiner Wars line. Vortex's head looks great. The chest really pops, especially after that upgrade to red from orange. I love the missiles on the hands. They look great too. The feet, while reminiscent of Classics Astrotrain, aren't bad either. Even the back kibble is probably some of the best helicopter storage I've seen on a helicopter figure. It looks great, just why now? I need to find myself a Quickslinger. One that isn't 50 stinking bucks on eBay. In short, I really do love this particular figure, especially for his versatility later on. It's just a shame we got him right out of the gate. It would have been amazing to explore this guy firsthand for Defensor or even Bruticus. But the figure ends up being bittersweet since a lot of us, me included, are still hung up on a white repaint. Sorry man, you tried, but you just came in at the wrong time. As for weapons, all of them come with Coxsackie Virus A16. They look stupid, and I never want to speak of them again, but apparently if I don't, the internet threatens to take my daughter and show her what a real reviewer covers in a video. So now, on to real weapons. Firefly's scope and rifle look great and suit the character, and he can also blink them to death with his laser pointer.
I've set my laser from stun to kill.
Ah, great. Yeah, and if anyone attacks us, we can blink them to death.
Alftech's Vorvo comes with some epic-looking missilery, and I want to call it a chain gun? I don't know guns, nor do I wish to. Air Raid and Skydive both get their silly-looking double-barrel blasters. I really don't like them, and that's that. Regardless, though, they do look good in group photos. Articulation features a ball-jointed head with having some good up-looking motion, and others not. Here they are lined up from left to right, best to worst. Ball-jointed shoulders for good rotation and 90-degree outward movement. 90-degree elbow and swiveling biceps. Waist rotation at 360 degrees. Ball-jointed hips, 90-degree knee and thigh swivel. For size comparison, Frankenseeker, Classics Hound, Orion Pax, Classics Optimus, Masterpiece Prowl, and Masterpiece Bumblebee, because everything scales well with MPB. So that's my review of the deluxe limbs for Superion. We'll call this Superion Part 1. I love this set and I never expected I would. I laughed at all the preliminary photos and said they looked too simplistic and doofy. You know, like the snooty third-party masterpiece connoisseur that I really am. But I'm glad I picked this set up. It brought me back to a time when figures were simple. When they didn't have 6 billion steps, and the tolerances weren't so stiff that you were liable to snap one of the 50,000 tabs that riddled the overcomplicated mess that was the toy. I'm looking at you, Fans Project. Anyway, this has been part 1 of Superion. Next review will be on Silverbolt and Superion himself. This has been the Lazy Eyebrow Reviewer.